Shalom, everyone on MTV Israel. I'm Taylor Swift, and here's my new video.
You're listening to Your Brain on Air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy. คุณกำลังฟังสมองของคุณบนอากาศโปรแกรมจะเริ่มในไม่ช้าเพลิดเพลิน
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. I am your host, Ollie Vogt Larson. And where does Minnesota nice come from? This is something that I have been obsessed with for the longest time. Listen, some believe that it comes from the law of Yanta, Janteloven. Listen, who can blame them? The law of Yanta, or Janteloven, is a cultural social code in Nordic countries that discourages individual bragging, standing out, acting like you are better than others. There are 10 rules that they tend to follow. You are not to think you are anything special. You are not to think that you are as good as we are. You are not to think that you are smarter than we are. You are not to imagine yourself better than we are. You are not to think you know more than we do. You are not to think you are more important than we are. You are not to think you are good at anything. You are not to laugh at us. You are not to think anyone cares about you. You are not to think you can teach us anything. So, the Yonters who transgress this unwritten law are regarded with suspicion, sometimes hostility, as it goes against the town's communal desire to preserve the harmony, social stability, the uniformity, all of it, the cultural hegemony. And the 11th rule, recognized as in the novel as the penal code of Yanta, is perhaps you don't think we know a few things about you. Essentially, hearing this makes a lot of your parents' behavior make a lot of sense, right? You feel stupid if you shared a take that wasn't wholly original, an opinion that was just, it was half-baked or whatever. It didn't exactly need to be said. Minnesotans, are a lot of folks, they don't like saying things that don't need to be said. And most of the time they're right. Most things don't need to be said. They're just really fun to think about and say. And listen, Minnesotans understand they should not try to stand out unless they feel they have something that they can offer. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel like that's just a great way for many societies to order themselves, for many societies to bring the aura, the charm of, if you're an outsider, if you're unfamiliar with our practices, either get with the program or we're not going to like you. That's a lot of the passive aggression. That's where most of this shit comes from, is this kind of unspoken, if you don't get with it, if you don't get with us, if you don't understand what we're doing up here, you're going to feel weird. You're going to feel out of place. That's just sort of how this place works. Ladies and gentlemen, do not miss Salah. Do not miss your Salah, because if so, you are worse than a child rapist.
Any person that misses one Salah, not two, one Salah, you miss one Salah for no reason. You're worse than a murderer. You're worse than a rapist. You're worse than a terrorist. You're worse than a pedophile in the eyes of Allah. Habibi, let me tell you something in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Habibi, that's a very common, Arab name. I have a vape with the same name. And if you don't know, Salah, it's the second pillar of Islam, a formal, obligatory, you have to do this ritual prayer performed 5 times a day while you face Kaaba in Mecca. Kaaba is the big black square where they all worship it. It has ties to Saturn. It's where they all worship, and what they recreate the Saturn's rings around it, where they all circle. And it serves as a direct line of communication and absolute submission and humility to God, the fundamental daily connection with God, kind of. It's like how they daven and whatnot in the Jewish religion. That's what they're up to.
As far as sin is concerned, the one that sells drugs, good or bad? Just very quickly, good or bad? Bad. How about the murderer? How about the one who commits adultery, sinner? What about the one who rapes a child? This person, one person that commits all of these sins, he commits all of these sins on a daily basis, but he prays is better in the eyes of Allah than the one that doesn't commit any of these sins but doesn't pray.
Folks, if you rape a child, if you murder every single day, if you commit these acts every single day, you are still, as long as you're hitting your Fajr, your Duhur, your Asr, your Maghrib, and your Isha, all of those 5 prayers throughout the day, as long as you get all those down, you are better in the eyes of the Lord than someone who never prays once. Ladies and gentlemen, you can do it either standing upright while reciting verses from the Quran in Arabic, Ruku, it's bowing with hands on and knees to praise God, God's greatness. Sujud, prostrating with the forehead, prostrating. It's like, I know many people are going to hear that. They're going to be like, prostate exam. No, not even close. It's with your forehead, your nose, your knees, your hands, and the toes all touching the ground, representing the peak state of humility and closeness to God. Julus, which is sitting between and after prosperations to offer internal prayers and peace. And Tassalim, the concluding the prayer by turning the head to the right and to the left to offer a greeting of peace. I'm just gonna say it. If you want to be the worst human being possible, the best thing you can do, fuck Christianity. I'm gonna be honest with you. They're all about fucking children. They're all about committing crimes and then asking God for forgiveness. So yes, if you want to be an adulterous piece of shit who just commits the worst acts possible, yeah, Christianity's an option. You can still probably get through the pearly gates, go visit St. Peter and whatnot, and be like, yeah, I know that I did a lot of shit, but guess what? I prayed every single day. You might still have a chance. But this is the most for sure guarantee that you can be a piece of shit who continues to pray every single day, and you will still have a chance to meet God in the afterlife. This is crazy. This is listen, this is brand new to a Western mind. This is I understand the saving grace of Jesus Christ, but to some, you have to fulfill the duties of Christianity. At least in most people's minds, you have to live to be a good person. You simply cannot accept Christ into your heart and expect to get the entirety of the way. There is some internal what do we call it, washing of the socks. You know what I mean? You got to get those socks nice and clean before you can show them to your mom and say, I did laundry. If the socks are filthy, if they're still, salty, the way that you could pickle something in them, I know for people who need Botox in the feet, like myself, I understand. It's going to be troublesome to wash these socks, but you're being a bad person, you have to wash the socks. Otherwise, God's not going to let you into heaven. And as far as I'm concerned, this is the most clear-cut example where religion says it's fine for you to want to marry a 6-year-old because the prophet did it. You know what I mean? At least Jesus didn't do that. Listen, if you're wanting to get into the pearly gates, if you want a religion that's going to tell you that you are able to be an absolute piece of shit, polyamorous, womanizer, whatever, anything your mind can think of, anything, literally think of anything. You want a dating pool? Go to a school. That's the level that Islam is at. And you will be able to be forgiven by God. You'll be able to find his grace. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a little scary. That's a lot of what the world believes in. Speaking of that part of the world, the U.S. and Iran conflict is still, it's on hold right now because there's negotiations over the Strait of Hormuz. So it's a temporary lull. Don't think of this as the Persian Gulf War 2.0 is over. The United States and Iran are just holding off on new air and missile strikes. They're giving diplomatic negotiators room to address the ongoing standoff in the Strait of Hormuz. Following nearly 2 weeks of nightly American airstrikes, retaliatory Iranian strikes across the region, U.S. officials confirmed that military action is on pause to allow the high-level discussions brokered by Oman to proceed. So they're focused on establishing operational mechanisms to safely reopen the strategic choke point to commercial shipping. The Strait of Hormuz, which handles roughly 20% of the world's seaborne energy supply, has seen severe, obviously, maritime disruptions over the last few months. Since the fighting flared up earlier this year, regional mediators are attempting to broker an agreement regarding the designated transit corridors along the waterway to prevent any further attacks on commercial oil tankers and to ease volatility in the global energy markets. So, despite the pause in military strikes, though, military readiness across the region remains extremely high. U.S. diplomats and defense officials emphasize that American forces remain fully deployed and prepared to resume offensive strikes if talks break down or if Iran forces target commercial shipping lines. So, meanwhile, Iranian officials maintain that they are retaining regulatory control over the territorial waters, and the delicate balance that are facing you diplomats and whatnot, it's up to you to make sure that we're all able to buy gas here in a few months. What is this intro music? This is terrible.
After nearly 2 weeks of the United States and Iran trading strikes, there's been a lull in the fighting. A Trump administration official told CBS News the pause was aimed at giving diplomacy some space. Natalie Brand has the latest from the White House.
An Iranian official tells CBS News there is progress in talks to reopen the Strait of Hormuz after both the U.S. and Iran halted strikes against each other this weekend.
Or as me and many of the Arabs have been calling it, the Strait of Hormuz.
Diplomacy a little bit of time.
Still, U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Mike Waltz told Face the Nation the U.S. is ready if negotiations fail.
Make no mistake,
assets, additional military assets, are moving into the region. They should believe the president, the regime should believe the president when he says they're locked and loaded, and all options are on the table.
Waltz also pushed back against CBS News reporting that the U.S. military is burning through munition stockpiles faster than they can be rebuilt, especially the interceptors needed to take down Iranian missiles and drones.
The munitions shortages are now affecting decision-making. The United States has used half to a third of many of its critical munitions.
On Monday, the Defense Department announced plans to expand production capacity for key components of defense weapons systems. The White
Gotta
House
have
is
more.
also asking Congress for billions more dollars in defense funding amid some pushback.
Let's sit down, let's negotiate with them, let's stop the killing.
A new CBS News poll found only 35% of Americans approve of how the president is handling the conflict with Iran.
Who are they?
There is large bipartisan support for some of the goals, like stopping Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. Still, more than 2/3 want it to end now.
Well,
The
okay.
poll also shows 78% of Americans feel the president is not focused enough on lowering gas prices as they rise again. The president is set to deliver remarks on the economy this afternoon in Michigan.
Well, okay, this is very fun. He is set to speak in Michigan. We'll talk about that later this episode. Congress is not that concerned about your gas prices right now. The president isn't that concerned. None of your officials are that concerned. Do you know what your officials are really that worried about? Your congressman, your senator, whoever it might be, they are more concerned with getting a date on Capitol Hill than they are with defending you or your state.
This is not where you have your sexual relationships, right? You cannot have sexual relationships with staff who work in the House.
Dating has become a big topic on Capitol Hill. After recent resignations of members who were facing allegations of sexual harassment, some are arguing that members shouldn't be allowed to date not just their own staff, but anyone who works in the House of Representatives.
I think it could be dicey.
It leads to trouble. It leads to trouble.
Earlier this week, Speaker Mike Johnson surprised a lot of his colleagues when he weighed in.
I can't believe it would be acceptable in any situation.
It's already the rule in the House that members cannot date anyone who's on their own staff.
On their own staff. But if you are, say, a young buck from Tennessee, and you have not been lucky enough to find, let's be honest with you, you're in local politics. You have not been lucky enough to find a partner, and if you have, she is a miserable cunt. So you're closeted, you're looking for a beautiful, nice, maybe 20-something, fit, cut gentleman that you will be able to, run around D.C. with. You're a very Lindsey Graham type. You are interested in, you're there for the party scene. Listen, I know that many people don't want to hear this. The Congress is the gay 90s for older closeted men. Older closeted men, it's not about the bar scene. It's not about Grindr. Fuck all that shit. That's where you get AIDS. It's where you go to die. But Congress, all those people are tested. All those people are going to get medical appointments every now and then. They're clean. You know what I mean? And if they're not, they're going to be giving you signals for it. They're going to be signaling to you that, it's like how at French parties, the whole reason that we got into the sticking your pinky out to show that you're French was originally a way to indicate to other people at the dinner or the tea party that you were at that you had a sexually transmittable disease, and people who would put their pinkies out, they'd be like, oh, you're also dirty, let's go have sex. And if that makes you uncomfortable, it's just kind of what it's true. Pinky out when in doubt.
But this rule would extend to anyone who worked in the House of Representatives. And so far, there's broad bipartisan support for the idea.
I think that there's a lot of fish in the sea, and there are many people. If someone is seeking a partner, we don't necessarily have to do that here.
I got a beautiful bride at home. She's a smoking hot woman. I'm in love. She's the best in the world. I don't know why you would come up here and start.
The only reason I believe him even remotely is he's wearing this beautiful, this is only a straight guy could dress like this. Like, he has a nice, beautiful blue and white pinstripe kind of suit, paired with this SpongeBob yellow looking undershirt with like it's got the usual collar with a bright red tie, and I'm just like you are not a flaming homosexual. You have no sense of style even remotely. Lindsey Graham, you have to give him one thing: he always looked fine. He always looked like the suits looked pressed, and I'm just gonna say it: gay guys do not look this sloppy. That's the only reason that I believe him, that he does have a smoking hot wife at home. I don't know, maybe smoking hot by his standards. I don't know, maybe she looks like a Margaret.
Playing that game. I mean, people are coming up here and destroying their lives.
Representative Teresa Ledger Fernandez is leading a bipartisan effort to make reforms in the House and to root out sexual harassment. She said that Johnson's comments gave her efforts renewed momentum.
We give up a lot of stuff when we decide to serve our constituents and come to Congress. Saying that this is not going to become a dating pool for me is going to be one of those things that you're going to have to give up.
Now, this would still have a long way to go before it became the official rule in the House of Representatives. But it's no small thing that Republican leaders and Democrats are speaking out so clearly and decisively.
Let's be honest, you as a person in politics, you need to be finding your Claire Underwood. You need to find your Frank Underwood before you go into politics. The whole thing about politics is it's image. If you and your Baroness are going to not have any children, if you're just going to be career bitches, you're going to sit in your nice DC townhouse. You're going to be smoking cigarettes at night because, you know what I mean, that's when you do it. And she's going to come up to you. She's going to straighten out your tie for you. You're going to go to some White House event. She's going to be doing, she's not going to be doing direct politics work because that's going to be a conflict of interest, but she's going to be doing, we're involved in this charity, we're involved in this sort of public work, but it's far away from what my husband does. Or if you're a woman, you've got to find a man who's willing to play second fiddle to you. And, in all honesty, that is not going to be found in the Congress halls. That's something that you need. You need to find someone emotionally, open. And I'm not saying volatile. I'm not saying emotionally frail. I'm saying you want smart people. It's like a cult. You know what I mean? A cult doesn't want weak people in its cult. It wants like decent thinking, like people who are going to be able to keep the cult running. Because in all honesty, cult leaders are lazy, so they want other people to keep the show running. So what you want essentially is you want to find somebody who will be emotionally reliant on you. They'll look towards you for all of their happiness and joy. Sure, they're going to have their little side hobbies, but you want this person to be infatuated with you. You want this person obsessed with you. That way, they're willing to follow you down any of your escapades that you're going to take. You're going to be like, all right, honey, we're going to this guy's island, and listen, I got a nice snorkeling venture for you. I got this beautiful massage package and whatnot. Me and this guy are just going to go hang out for a couple of hours, and whether or not I have a video taken of me, whether or not I have a scandal brewing, that's not any of your business. Quite frankly, it's none of your concern. You want what's best for me. You want me to be happy, and sometimes that means not sleeping with you. So we are going to be sharing different bungalows when we're staying at this guy's island. I'm going to be sleeping in the same bungalow as a 14-year-old. They're not going to tell me that she's 14. They're going to tell me she's 17, and I'm going to think, good enough. But this is the typical outlay for most of these people's vacations. Listen. You're going, not my congressman, not my senator. Your congressman or senator hates their wife. They hate their husband. They don't like the fact that they're trapped in this relationship with this person. They're going, the only thing in life I look forward to is when Jeffrey Epstein hands me, not him anymore, unfortunately, because you all ruined that 6 years ago. You all went and you killed my buddy 7 years ago, and now I have to rely on, do you realize how much of a fucking amateur everybody else in this sex trafficking business is? Jeffrey was able to get us on the island whenever we wanted. We were able to go visit him. It was a resort. And you know what I mean? It's hard to schedule with all of these people are amateurs. Some Nepo baby with all of his parents' money going and starting a sex trafficking ring. It's none of these like Bear Stearns people. These people where it's like, oh, the money might have come from Maxwell Fortune. It might have come from this media empire or the people who bought McGraw-Hill. It might have come from all these different interesting sources or whatever. Now it's just some like loser who wanted to go buy an island, buy a bunch of 14-year-olds and invite a bunch of his rich buddies. Like, those people suck. Yeah, those people suck. They have no experience in this world. They have no sort of like cool takes. They're not fun to hang out with. Jeffrey was a cool guy to hang out with. You know what I mean? He was a cool guy where it was like, I cannot wait for this summer. 4th of July at Jeffrey's Island is going to be lit this summer. It's going to be great. Speaking of 4th of July, Summer lit fires. Europe's world wildfires. World wild. I guess I can see how my brain confused those two words. It's kind of close, but not really. Europe's wildfires are forcing over 300,000 people to evacuate, and the burn is coming towards cities. At least one person is dead and whatnot. As France and Spain wildfires are continuing to burn through thousands of hectares. I believe that's the unit of measurement instead of acres that they use. Hectares. Officials from both countries are saying
wildfires raging in Spain and France turning deadly, forcing more than 300,000 people to evacuate. High temperatures, strong winds, and drought conditions fueling the fast-moving flames. In central Spain, more than 70,000 people fleeing what local officials have called the worst fires they have ever seen. A wildfire burning northwest of Valencia, Spain, claiming the life of a 78-year-old man.
See, one might call this one of the largest displacement operations in Europe. I would say that these people don't have a great memory, because I can remember a pretty big, larger displacement operation that happened, I don't know, like almost 90 years ago now. Almost 90 years ago.
Fire now under control. And in France, more than 200,000 people evacuating in Gironde as wildfires burn more than 100,000 acres.
How easy must it be to take over France? Can I be honest with you? If I start my global empire, it's going to be there. I have an experience with the French. I have a love and affinity for the French, but my vague experiences with the French is that the people I've talked to who have called that nation home, remarkably straightforward. They'll tell you whether they like things or not. They will, they're very direct, that's for sure. But the small talk is to a minimum. They're very European in that sense, where it's like, I'm not gonna phony a conversation with you. I'm not gonna talk about the weather. I'm gonna talk about something serious, or I'm gonna ignore you. But I prefer Italians. I'm going to be honest with you. Even though they're the Jews of Europe, I prefer the Italians. I've known Italian people. They're very nice. They're very, by the way, I'm just going to put it this way. Their art, their culture is supreme, better than the French, and they're not up their own ass about it. That's why I prefer the Italians.
Area 3 times.
I don't care what you say about those Guineas. They also don't run away from war like you sons of bitches. That's exactly why I'm going to take over France first. I feel like it's going to be the easiest one.
Of Paris, workers at a nearby nursing home rushing residents away for their safety. Bordeaux, the heart of France's famed wine country and a popular tourist destination, cleared out by approaching flames.
I gotta get some wine.
Tammy and Brendan Hutchinson, living in a suburb of Bordeaux, among the evacuees.
It escalated pretty quickly. You could see the wind shift, and it really got thick smoke, and it was real, a lot of ash falling out of the sky.
More firefighters arriving as they evacuated.
When we were leaving Bordeaux, there were...
Bordeaux, these stupid sons of bitches, they're not real. These are crisis actors. Well, stop moving to England, not England, Europe. Stop, all Americans, stop ruining it. Your accent doesn't sound right there.
Fire trucks and military.
Fire trucks.
Sending in reinforcements.
Reinforcements.
Tour de France race officials say they will shorten the distance by a third on the last day, so police can be diverted to assist regions in flames.
These are truly extreme conditions that are helping to fuel these flames so intense the fires create their own wind and move rapidly across the terrain, and that's what's made the fire burning near Bordeaux so dangerous and tricky to get ahead of. Rhiannon.
Our thoughts with everyone out there. Thank you so much for that, Marcus.
I liked that one movie. What was the movie about? It was a parody of the Tour de France. I believe that it was like a mockumentary or something. It was called Tour de Pharmacy, and it featured people like Orlando Bloom. I think Freddie Highmore was in it. Lance Armstrong, I think he had a cameo. Isn't he the one that lost his nut to cancer? Am I correct about that? I'm not sure. John Cena was in it. I know that. Andy Samberg, I'm pretty sure. I can't think of any other faces or names. Jeff Goldblum had like a I think I remember him a little bit. I don't remember very much about it. It came out in 2017, so it's been about 10 years since I've seen it. But it's perfectly fine and I like it. And listen, this is sad for them. It's sad for the people of Bordeaux. In France, the crisis is heavily concentrated in the southwest Gironde region. They're going to get mad at me for my mispronunciations. I don't care. If they were reading a story about me, they'd go, Minnesota. They'd throw some dumbass pronunciation on it. I'm going to do what I need. An uncontained blaze has burned tens of thousands of acres and advanced within 9 miles of Bordeaux's Bordeaux. See, you got me doing it. Their metropolitan area. Fun. French Interior Minister Laurent Nunez. I don't like that. I don't like that intermingling of names. You're starting to sound like an Argentina type country. They warn that the fire is generating its own localized wind systems, making its trajectory highly unpredictable, complicating containment efforts. More than 250,000 residents have been ordered out of the danger zone across the region. Thousands of firefighters, military units, and specialized aircraft are working around the clock to establish defensive barriers. Meanwhile, Spanish emergency services are battling multiple major fronts across the central and eastern provinces, including active fires burning west of Madrid. Sorry, I choked on spit. Oh my God. I got to take a minute. Otherwise it builds up in the salivary glands. They go really hard for me, especially on the sides of the mouth. And if I don't take a minute to swallow in between, I'm just going to I'm going to die. Do you want me to die? I don't want to die. They're reporting over 75,000 evacuations and ordering tens of thousands of additional residents to shelter in place due to the heavy smoke and ash. In response to the scaling crisis, the European Union has activated its civil protection mechanism, coordinating water dropping aircrafts, military transport units, ground crews from neighboring nations, including Italy, Greece, and Portugal, are all coming in to assist the French and Spanish emergency crews on the front lines. That might be an emergency. It might be unfortunate, and it might be a circumstance we all need to be a little bit concerned about. Something that demands more of our attention, and honestly, I care about a little bit more, is graphic testimony continued one day before, on day 4, not on 1 day in 4, whatever. What the fuck am I doing? Rapid fire section of today's headlines. We're moving on to the next story. Graphic testimony continued on day 4 in the preliminary hearing of singer David. The judge weighs in on whether there is sufficient evidence for him to stand trial in the killing of the 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. I still think he's innocent. I still think he's pulling off the OJ of the century. You know what I mean? The OJ last century had OJ. This is the OJ of this century. David, listen, ladies and gentlemen. I am a Biggie Smalls listener. I'm a believer in the young black male misunderstood, and it's still all good. If you don't know, now you know, nigga. I believe in innocence. I believe in the young black man's plight in America. I believe in, injustice. I believe that we need to evaluate all of these cases, especially around characters, when we want to talk honestly. If people want to go well, no, George Floyd didn't die of fentanyl. He died of the knee on the neck. And we all want to have these debates. We all want to have arguments over fentanyl levels, even though the fentanyl levels were increased and 3 times the lethal dose. I want to have conversations about this little girl, 14-year-old girl, God rest her soul, stabbed herself. According to some of the people who were investigating her murder, this girl might have stabbed herself. You know what I mean? And according to if it's his own testimony, don't yell at me. Don't yell at me. It's the medical examiner who said it's possible she could have stabbed herself. Whether or not she then proceeded to cut herself into bits what's the thing that used to carve a turkey that goes people don't always use it, but it's it's an actual it's designed to cut through bird meat or whatever. What do they use to cut turkey? It's got a grinder. It's got a thing on it. It's a chef's knife or a bread knife, typically. A cutting board. No, this is not. Can anybody tell me if I'm right about this? Don't talk. I'm talking. Can anybody tell me what tool I'm thinking of that I cannot think of? It's a serrated knife that goes back and forth, and you see it at white people Thanksgivings. Anyway, definitely not a Thanksgiving that David would have found himself at. But listen. I'm just going to let him go. I'm going to let you guys hear the details of the case, and you're going to understand now. You are going to understand why it's possible that he is going to pull out he is going to pull out, not like he did with that 14-year-old who he ended up getting pregnant. He's not going to pull out like that because he didn't. He is going to pull out the most impressive non-guilty verdict this century will ever see. You mark my words right now.
Details being shared in the preliminary hearing for singer David. A medical examiner revealing how Celeste Rivas Hernandez died. Eyewitness News reporter Leanne Suter live in studio now to share more details. Leanne.
Mark, it was some of the most graphic testimony and evidence yet in this disturbing case. For Celeste Rivas Hernandez's parents, it was simply too much. They had avoided going into court this morning, and this afternoon they had to leave mid-testimony as detectives began...
Why do you want them there? Kick them out. If they're going to be doing all these scenes where it's oh, we can't even hear about it. Why are you there?
The ongoing alleged sexual abuse of their daughter by singer David.
Don't even care. I hate
Prosecutors say
it.
the singer killed Celeste because she had threatened to go public with their sexual relationship, which allegedly began when she was 13 and he was 18, and that would have ruined his career. A veteran LAPD detective detailing the explicit photos of sex acts between the two he found on David's phone.
Well, that kind of clears it up a little bit.
And the numerous texts between the two about pregnancy and the morning after pill. One from David reading, quote, "Let's let this abortion be the last one."
The prosecution is spending a lot of time on this case because there's a lot to go over. It's not just a murder. It is a sexual abuse case, but it's also a case involving the abuse of a corpse. So you're really seeing three different sets of testimony.
The day beginning with the medical examiner detailing the autopsy and the condition in which the 14-year-old's body was found, saying it was so decomposed, some of it had liquefied.
That's pretty nuts.
Throughout the disturbing testimony, David remaining stoic, showing no apparent emotions. The singer is charged with murder, sexual abuse of a child, and mutilation of a body. The medical examiner says Celeste's arms and legs had been cut from her torso with some type of power tool, but couldn't say exactly what due to decomposition. As graphic as the testimony has been, legal experts say the trial likely will contain much more.
Right now we're talking about very experienced lawyers, a judge who's been doing this for almost 25 years.
I want to be a judge just so I can sit around all day and be like, all right, what's on the docket? Boroth versus Ackers. All right. I know that, like, there's, like, property line disputes. There's, like, oh, somebody's oak. Like, this is all white people trials. It's like, oh, your oak is overhanging on my property line by, like, 5 feet. It could fall on my Escalade or some shit. And that's, like, I'd rather be in some shitty district where I have to deal with parent court. Oh, I'd kill to be in parent court. I'd love to, listen. I want to hear people argue about alimony. I want to hear people argue about weekends. I want to hear mothers cry. I want to hear fathers cry. I want to hear the children crying when they're hanging out with the therapist in the hallway because their lives will never look remotely normal because two people that should have never had children in the first place decided to, and now they've cursed these creatures with consciousness, and now those creatures cursed with consciousness, who knows what's going to happen to them? Who knows? They're going to figure out their own lives. They're going to figure out what their lives look like. We don't have a plan for them. Their parents certainly didn't, so, why would they have a plan? Why would they be like, honestly, if you're made out of the passion of two other people that like just were like, we'll fuck, but we're not going to stick it out, like that's a weird way to come into this world. It's sort of like you're the product of two people's horniness, you're not the product of a loving union. Got it. Like, okay, that's just going to be a weird spot for a lot of people to navigate. And listen, I am happy to help those children. I'm happy to find them new homes. Foster care it up. Every single one of my verdicts, I'd be like, both of you are pieces of shit. Sending them to foster care. They don't have a grandparent to go with? Foster care. Foster care. Foster care. I don't care. Listen, I understand foster care, they traffic children. That's exactly why we need to revamp the foster care system. I would revamp the foster care system if it was up to me, but it's not up to me, so it's just going to continue to be the back and forth system that it is right now where children are literally trafficked by their foster parents. Some foster parents marry their own children, like marry their foster children. If you don't believe me, it's true.
We've seen it all, but jurors have not seen a case as horrific as this involving the murder of a young girl. That shock and awe is going to be very powerful and very difficult for anyone to watch.
Very powerful.
David, whose real name is David Burke, has pleaded not guilty to all charges at preliminary hearing to determine if there is enough evidence for him to stand trial.
Do we have to dox him? Do we really have to dox D4 Vid? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I prefer to refer to the artist by the artist name. And listen, the medical examiner has testified, but this girl could have killed herself, according to him. Let's hear it. This is NBC LA.
LA County Deputy Medical Examiner Grant Ho back on the witness stand as he provided a clinical narration.
He sounds like a hoe. Get it? Ho.
About his examination of Celeste Rivas Hernandez's body. An overhead photograph of her body on an exam table was shown in court. It showed Celeste's condition after severe decomposition, and her severed limbs were positioned so she appeared in a complete figure. The accused, David Burke, could be seen looking up at images from the autopsy without a visible reaction. Under questioning from prosecutor Beth Silverman, Dr. Ho explained that he concluded Celeste was murdered, likely by 2 penetrating wounds to her chest and abdomen. One of them punctured her liver. Both of them would have been fatal.
Oof.
He said he was unable to say when she died or when she was dismembered due to the condition of her remains, and that it was possible a power tool was used to separate her arms and legs.
Well, okay. Possible? Yes, definitely. This is the key, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, listen up. This is the key. Listen to what he says very clearly right here.
On cross-examination by defense attorney Marilyn Bednarski, Dr. Ho acknowledged that it was difficult to make exact conclusions about what happened because of the decomposition. Bednarski suggested it was possible Celeste had stabbed herself to death into a sharp instrument, and that it might not have been immediately clear that she was bleeding and dying.
So here's what happened. Let me lay it out for you, for the retards among us. This 14-year-old girl was prancing about, being all 14-year-old girlish. You know how they are. They have you seen the beginning of Little House on the Prairie where they're like, we're giggling and we're running through the fields together and whatnot. Ma and Pa are behind us. And then she was giggling and running through the recording studio, I guess, of David's place. And she just so happens to, and he just so happens to have this on display. She trips and falls onto a 3-foot open blade samurai sword that proceeds to stab her through the liver. She gets all, oh, whoa. I feel like a cramp or something. She turns around and she the sword comes out of her, and then she looks at the sword. She goes, "Oh my God, I better be careful of that thing." And then right before she decides to take a step back, she trips over her own feet and falls forward and then gets stabbed in the chest again by this sword that's just sitting on this countertop or something like that. And then she was like, "Shit, I just got stabbed twice, man, but I'm like not even bleeding? That's crazy." She looked at the blade. It was entirely clean. And by the way, the blade is gone. They never found that when they were at David's home or anything like that. So it just so happened to disappear. Maybe it is in a river or something. It could be with another kid. It could be anywhere at this point. Someone might have bought it from him. It could be in anybody's hands at this point. But this samurai sword happens to stab her twice. She goes, "David, I think I'm bleeding or something. I think I'm bleeding a little bit." And he goes, "I know how to stop that. I know how to get that nice and backed up. We got to reroute the blood somewhere else so that it stops coming out of those holes through your chest. So why don't we cut off your legs? Why don't we cut off your arms? Why don't we cut off your head? That way, all the blood will start rushing to those open wounds, and this was a Monty Python, and she was, by the end, she was like, this is a flesh wound. She was just the torso. She was just hopping around, following him, and she was like, what do we do now? And then he goes, all right, fine. I think I'm going to have to literally just cut you in half and just drain all your blood, because all of these wounds are now bleeding. They don't even know what they're doing. They're just trying to do at-home surgery. They're trying to figure it out. She proceeds to, at one point, I don't know when, fall over, her no more animating life is in it. She's dead. Now, what is he left to do? Is he left to, go to jail for this young nymph's improprieties, her inability to be careful, her irresponsibilities, quite frankly, of just prancing about and stabbing herself with knives? What is he to do other than take all these pieces, literally she fell apart like Legos? He takes all these pieces of her, puts them in a garbage bag, drives his Tesla to somewhere, I'm guessing somewhere, to get impounded, and then he decides, I'll go back for that one day. I'm not going to go back for that anytime soon, but maybe I'll get to it. It gets impounded. He goes, well, maybe somebody took care of it for me. He goes on and lives out the rest of his life normally, and that's how this story should have gone. But then, I don't know, somebody decided to be fun, somebody decided to be racist, and someone decided to come for a young black male's career. I will be the first one to give him a job once he, by the way, gets out of this. I will be the first one when he gets out of jail. I will say, look, no one else in this town will hire you, so I will hire you. You will be the main music correspondent for Your Brain on Air, ladies and gentlemen. David, this will be his future home of employment. If you don't like that, I don't know what else to say, but don't listen to the show. show. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to our next story. Police in New Jersey are investigating after several children attending the YMCA summer camp in East Orange allegedly consumed suspected mushroom-laced edibles. Video shows a mother racing her 12-year-old to the hospital after her child was one of the 13 campers who'd consumed drug-laced chocolate. Okay. Now, the mushroom chocolates, the mushroom gummies, the mushroom little candies that we're getting into, I've done them a few times. I think the time I've taken the most was, they were these like Wonder. They were called Wonder or something, and they had like they had a rabbit on the front. I can't remember if the rabbit had like you know how the rabbit always points at the clock and it's like the tick-tock, tick-tock, I'm late. I thought it was like one of those types of gummy things because there were 10 in a pack. Me and my fiance, we were like, we want to trip hard on these, so what else are we going to do except for eat most of them? So I ate 9 out of the 10 in my pack. My fiance ate I believe 6 or 7 out of 10, maybe more. I don't know. I think that we kind of balanced, so we understood that she was lighter, so it was probably better that she not take as much. We decided a great idea really was to go grocery shopping after we had taken these. We figured it would take a while for them to hit us. Absolutely wrong. I ended up, on the way home, I was driving. This was the last time I've taken mushrooms. I honestly, this was too mind-bending for me. I'm not into the idea of doing like, I'll do like a little here and there. I'll do a little something. I'll do weed, but I have not gone on like a luxurious mushroom trip since this night where we were at Aldi's and we proceeded to drive home. While I'm driving home, have you guys seen the movie Color Out of Space where everything just has this magenta hue over it, a very pinkish blue sort of color? Everything had that vibe. I was driving past Doolittle's, I was driving past Casey's, I was driving past all these fucking restaurants, and I was like, ooh, these signs, I feel the warmth. Like, okay, so here's kind of how I can best describe it. Warm lights, like red lights, yellow lights, and whatnot, they felt hot. And every time we would drive past, like, one of these really bright red or bright orange lights, I would feel it, like the sun against my skin as I drove past it. And I was like, this feels fucking weird. This feels weird. And then we drove past. It was not a Holiday. It's another one. It's a Loaf and Jug or something like that. But they have these blue, beautiful lights, and I would feel cold when I would drive past those. So I'm physically feeling the lights as we're driving past them. Me and my fiance, we grab as many of the groceries as we can. We manage to take it all up in one go because we're not losers. We then we're like, okay, maybe like throwing things away. We have a couple of extra things in the fridge. We're all starting to trip out. Maybe we're just going to put away these groceries for later. Nah, actually, we're going to clean out the fridge real quick. We grab all of the garbage from the fridge. We then leave our apartment building, not realizing we do not have our keys. We then have to ring multiple doors. At this point, the mushrooms are kicking in. They're fully in. We are not really in this reality. So in our like drug-induced state, we went, yeah, it's going to be perfectly fine. Yeah, it's like 8 p.m. It's not like 8 p.m. Like 9, 10. It was summertime and past dark, so I'm going to go with 9 past. And of course it's going to be normal. If we just go up to all of the apartment ringers and we just hit all of them. Like literally like it's like a Christmas tree, from Elf, where he hits all of the elevator buttons. I just hit my mic, damn it. He hits all of the elevator buttons, and that's what we did with all of our apartment neighbors, is we just did that until somebody eventually let us in. We were like, we left our keys inside. Please, we don't know. I feel like the grass is coming to get me. I was nervous. And listen, I was maybe not as nervous as these kids who took mushroom-laced edibles. And this is a little intense. I'm gracious that I don't have children around. And I'm gracious that I don't have like people like, because if you have a kid, if you have a niece, nephew, or whatever, you can't have them in your house. You can't. If you do drugs, they're gonna find them. They're gonna grab them. They're gonna be like, ooh, look at this. Because kids steal. They have sticky little fingers, and you cannot let them around. They're going to snatch. They're gonna take, and they're gonna go, ooh, here's for my friends. And when we go, oh, my parents have some of these chocolates, maybe it'll make us feel like we're drinking. You know what I mean? So 12 years old, that's an age to be doing mushrooms at. This girl is having a like full consciousness awakening right now.
What's happening in this video, Cynthia Cunningham is racing her 12-year-old child to the hospital.
Oh my God.
While the child's 9-year-old sister is recording her, lethargic and dazed. Cunningham says the 12-year-old was one of 13 campers given drug-laced chocolate by another child at the East Orange YMCA camp here on North Arlington Avenue. We blurred the video because she is a child suffering the effects of drug-laced candy.
Oh my God.
I got there, my daughter was destroyed. Very emotional. She thought she was in trouble. We were in the car. She was peeling over. As we were driving, she would shift her body to one side. I had my youngest daughter record it.
East Orange Police and the YMCA say a camp counselor noticed a child handing out the candy, which they say is against its policies. The Y released a statement that goes on to explain in part. Later, when staff noticed campers having an adverse reaction to the substance, we immediately enacted our emergency protocols, contacting emergency services, parents, and the police. East Orange Police say our detectives are conducting a thorough investigation to determine exactly what occurred, how these suspected edibles came into the possession of a juvenile, and whether any criminal offenses were committed. Cunningham says her daughter is feeling better, but her kids are not going back to the camp.
Even when I arrived to the YMCA, it was about 13 children. They, for lack of better words, they looked like zombies. It was really sad. It was sad. This shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen. We send our kids to summer camps so that they can have something productive to do during the summer. And the YMCA's mission statement says that they cultivate a safe space. And this was the opposite.
This is a safe space for your child, not to finger paint, not to have fun with their friends, not to play outside. This is a safe environment for your child's mind and consciousness to be expanded. Your child is going to ingest ayahuasca next week. Most of these, by the way, you are going to be picking up little pill heads next time that you go to the Boys and Girls Club, next time you go to the Y, next time you go anywhere where you think it's safe to leave your children for a few hours, the community center, the backyard. You are going to be picking up little pill heads, little nuts who are going to be telling you about interdimensional beings. They're going to be like, I had a conversation with God today. It was awesome. They're going to be 6, and you're going to be like, God damn, these kids are cooler than me. It's going to suck for you as the parent, but you just got to get used to it. It's the world we live in. And by the way, the world we live in. The Shakopee City Council revoked a license for the Baymont Hotel. I've been to and seen and stayed at this Baymont Hotel. I'm so glad to hear this. Multiple public safety incidents are the reason for its removal. Let's hear a teensy bit of the details around it.
Overdoses, human trafficking, and potential gang violence are just some of the reasons why the Shakopee City Council decided to take back the license for the Baymont Hotel.
Like, the biggest complaint I had when I went there is there was no Native Americans working there. Like, Native Americans as in, like, I would have been fine with some whitey serving me, but this was like somebody who did not speak English. This was like, and I wasn't saying Native Americans in the sense of like, I would have been fine if there was an Indian serving me. I would have been fine if there was a whitey serving me. But like, it's someone who does not speak English who was serving me. And that is exactly the issue.
An obligation and a responsibility to do certain things under laws. You've managed to just violate all of them.
There's 2 events in particular that stood out to the council. One of them was an adults-only swingers party in early 2025 that sold out the hotel, but 2 people were found dead from a suspected overdose.
Holy shit. Swingers night. I told you Minnesotans are fucking freaky. And listen, 2 people found dead? What?
The hotel, but 2 people were found dead from a suspected overdose. And a 24-hour lock-in earlier this year that had the police called 16 times, where the city says prostitution, assault, and other disturbances kept happening.
The company is monitoring the on-site management.
This doesn't seem to be the case.
It did not happen in this case.
The owner of the property told the council that they accepted some of these events because they've never turned a profit in 10 years of owning it, but he says they want the hotel legit.
I would like to run this hotel by the book.
I told you guys! I told you that it wasn't a fucking person who spoke English who wasn't from here. I understand, like, Opie, Poppy, or whatever. He might have been, he has the American spirit. He wants to buy a hotel. He wants to do all this shit. He's hosting prostitutes. Let's send Oppie. Let's send whatever you call in your culture, Grandpa. Let's send Grandpa home.
I would like to run this hotel by the book, with rules and regulations absolutely 100% in place.
The council ultimately decided to revoke that license.
Just trying to save a business, but I get where you're coming from. It's totally unacceptable what's happening out here.
Russell. Follow for more news.
Folks, I mean, listen, I think we should be letting trafficking happen. We should be letting prostitution happen. Listen, everybody's going, oh, you don't care about the victims. You don't care about the people in the trade. Some of the prostitutes say that they like it. You know what I mean? They say that they like it. They say it's empowering or whatever. They got mouths to feed. Where'd they get those mouths to feed? Probably their job. That's my assumption. That or, some error that brought them into this position. And you know what? That job is always an option. It's always an option they willingly got themselves into. And it's whatever. Not every trafficking person, not every prostitute is happy to be there. You know what I mean? When's the last time you talked to a tax accountant who seemed very happy with that was what his life is equated to? By the way, so many people's lives are just boring. So many people's lives are like getting you to get a car or like getting you to get a house or like get like paperwork or anything. The reason that the world sucks and the reason the world is so inefficient is that it's these people's daily lives. They don't care. They don't care about you. Oh, you need a car? Oh, you need a house? You need a place to live? I need to go get my fucking quinoa, in my salad by the end of the day. Like, what are you? They don't care about your problems. They care about their general lives. Everybody's living their life pretty half-assed because nobody feels like they're really climbing anywhere. Nobody feels like no one feels like they're going to be owning a house anytime soon. No one feels like there's going to be anything to show off. Everybody feels like the law of Yanta, it means something if we all have homes together. Nobody has homes. No one has any homes anymore. So why would the law of Yanta even apply? Why am I going to be nice to any person? Why not just post videos of like ice raids to Katy Perry music? And that's what people are doing these days. More specifically, the White House. The White House is up to that, and they're upsetting Katy Perry. Katy Perry has responded with strong words against the use of her hit 2010 song Firework by the White House in a video posted on X featuring declassified imagery of strikes against Iran. I can see why she might be a little icky on that.
Katy Perry is fired up.
Boom, boom.
This video posted to the White House TikTok account.
I'm going to be honest with you. This is the only... Them posting this, them blowing shit up with your music, it's keeping you relevant. You're not keeping yourself relevant with the music you've been putting out. Woman's World was a disaster. Does anybody want to listen to that actually real quick? Let's just... Hold on. It's a woman's world and you're lucky to be living in it. Woman's World. Okay, here we go. Yep, let's get this. All right, here she is. She's in like... Women working, hell yeah. Oh, this is embarrassing. She's like dressed like Rosie the Riveter. Sexy, confident. Oh, this is horrific. So intelligent, like a bunch of women sitting on a girder. Why do women have to, by the way, this is really pathetic, because why do women have to be like, we're confident, we're real women by doing what men do? They're like, we're construction workers. Yeah, I'd like to see you put up drywall, any of you. But all of these women that are wearing like these like protectionary gear and shit like that have never worked with their hands once in their lives. Whiskey for women. Bro, why are you wincing? She's acting like, I'm so girly and I just drink whiskey. Bitch, like some of the best whiskey drinkers I've ever known. Don't start talking to me. I had an Irish grandmother. Some of the best drinkers I've known are women. And this whole thing where it's like, women are just like little and they just can't do things that men can do. And look at how goofy this music video is because we're doing what men do. You're making women look lesser than. You're making it look like it's super feminist to watch a girl like work a blue collar job. I thought that was just like normal. I thought you just wanted to be like, I thought the whole point of feminism was that you are going to do the things that men do, and you are going to incur the wraths that men have to. You're going to take on the responsibilities they do, and you're going to get the same benefits, but you're not going to be praised as these like, oh, Aphroditical figure. Look at her coming down from her womanly perfect post to come do some drywall, hang some shit up, do some like it's so much lesser than women to watch them do all this sort of stuff. Well, I thought it was, listen, it's against the status quo. I thought women are able to do everything that men can. This is so... I love this. I love this. I might get copyright claim for this. I don't care. She's a sister. Oh, yeah. I don't like the jean shorts. I think they look bad. And I'm sorry to say it, most women do not look good in jean shorts. The what are they called? There's a name for them. She literally says it in one of her fucking music videos. Daisy Dukes! She's wearing, like, these Daisy Dukes, you know, Daisy Duke from the Dukes of Hazzard. Like, she's wearing, like, these really short shorts. I think they're ugly. I don't think they look good on women. I'm sorry to say it. The only gender they really look good on is men. I'm sorry to say it. Men are the only ones that can wear jean shorts. I'm sorry to say it, women. It just doesn't work. It's the way that, like, a man wearing a bubble skirt, it looks gross. Just like how when women wear bubble skirts, it looks kind of gross. I'm gonna be honest with you. They're not my favorite design. Woman's world, and you're lucky to be living in it. Yep. Ew! Gross! Tits shot. I'm out. You know, the moment that you sexualize your own body like that to try to get my attention, I'm actually heading out. And I'm actually going to take my audience's attention with me. Unless, of course, you want to go see how bad this video is, in which case it'll be in the description. Like, it's low-key misogynistic. And that's coming from me. That is David Duke calling out racism. That is O.J. Simpson calling out, like, sham trials. This is, I'm sorry to say it, this is, like, ridiculous. I have to say something about it. All right, we'll finish up this story and then we'll finish up with our final one.
Song Firework over declassified images of the U.S. striking Iran. Perry says she is deeply appalled about the use of her music in this video, which she called a complete violation of everything my song stands for. She says, I did not approve this, I was not asked, and I absolutely do not condone it. More than 6 million people have viewed this 8-second video, making it...
It's funny. It's one of the White House's best tweets that they've put out. I'm actually going to read you her words directly just so you can hear them. I am deeply appalled and angry to see firework used on the White House TikTok account as a backing track for video footage of military strikes. I did not approve this. I was not asked, and I absolutely do not condone it. I wrote this song to be an anthem of hope, healing, and inner strength for people going through their darkest personal moments. To see the message of self-worth and upliftment weaponized to soundtrack destruction and violence is a complete violation of everything my song stands for. My music is for bringing people together, not celebrating warfare. Okay. I think that's fine. You can be angry. That's okay. You have to get comfy with the death of the artist is like a thing. It's just kind of what we all have to live with as a person. If you create anything, if you put anything out into this world, it no longer really belongs to you. It sort of belongs to whoever the person perceiving it is. Art is whatever it is to that individual. It's not going to be, to you, it might be this anthem of inner beauty. It might be this whatever, this, not even girl power if a song. It's like any one power song. Like, I hold hands with Down syndrome babies. Anybody. You, instead of, listen, the death of the author is the idea that once you've put out a piece of art, it means whatever it means to the people who are perceiving it. And that, listen, that is their kind of romantic appreciation. It's their moment with your art. And it just so happens that a lot of these people, they hear this song and they think of celebrating warfare. They think of blowing up Iranians. Your art you do not determine what your art means. In a weird way, artists do not control what their art will grow to mean. The artist simply creates. The artist is simply the purveyor, and the people who perceive, the people who pick it apart, the people who pull meaning from different little aspects of it, that is their own romantic, individualized experience. No one will ever understand it better than they do. No one will ever be able to appreciate it the way that they do. That is what makes art beautiful. It is the intimacy, the pure, like, it is almost sexual to some of these people, where it's the pure, it is private. There is nothing more private than the inner personal thoughts and feelings that an art piece will make you feel. There's nothing more profound for you. Don't expect other people to share this with you. For you, it is one of the most intimate, personal, intrapersonal things that you can kind of hope for and experience, is like living and kind of feeling things through other people's art. It's not how everybody's going to perceive it. You know what I mean? Not everybody's going to perceive it the way that you want to. Katy Perry is uncomfortable with the death of the artist. I am not. I am not uncomfortable with it. I understand that my words can mean whatever I want them to mean to me. They will mean anything to anyone else, and that's perfectly fine. My words, my show is a Rorschach test, and you see whatever you want in it, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of my show, we got to get back to it with our final story of the day. President Donald Trump is traveling to Metro Detroit, Michigan today. to highlight his administration's trade and manufacturing policies. He's appearing at a General Motors testing facility in Oakland County. The president is focusing on his message to the domestic industrial investment and the auto sector jobs as early voting begins across the battleground state ahead of its August 4th primary election. The high-profile visit comes less than 100 days before the November midterm elections, where Republicans are seeking to defend slim majorities in both the House and the Senate. Michigan voters are currently selecting nominees for key statewide offices, including the U.S. Senate seat that is currently open and a competitive Republican gubernatorial primary involving a Trump-backed Representative John James. Political strategists view the state as a vital barometer for party momentum heading back into the fall campaign season. So, White House officials are emphasizing that the appearance is reflecting ongoing efforts to rebuild domestic manufacturing, expand regional industrial production. However, local analysts are noting the visit occurs against a complex economic backdrop. Voters are expressing growing concern over persistent inflation, rising fuel costs, and broader market uncertainty tied to the international tensions. So it's going to be a bit of a cold, maybe strange reception when they get to see face-to-face the man who threw them into a war nobody wanted.
With less than 100 days of...
What? Why is the video unavailable, you stupid son of a bitch? I'm just trying to share the news. Why can't I do this? God damn it. All right, here is, I guess, the news. So CBS Detroit. This'll work for me. If this video will even load.
So tomorrow,
there we go.
President Donald Trump will pay a visit to Metro Detroit. The president is expected to visit the GM Proving Grounds in Milford. The White House says he'll talk about manufacturing and his effort to rebuild the auto industry. He's also expected to campaign for Mike Rogers, who is running unopposed in the Senate primary, and Congressman John James, who's facing businessman Perry Johnson in the Republican gubernatorial race.
I love the word gubernatorial. Ladies and gentlemen, if you need a good watch, I'll recommend the Nick Fuentes interview featuring Hunter Biden from Channel 5 with Andrew Callaghan. Is it Callaghan or Callahan? I can't remember. Callaghan. It's good. It's solid enough. It's a good, politic, what's it called? It's a charcuterie board. You pick a little bit of the meats that you like, you pick some of the figs, you do whatever, and then you just, snack. You snack off of it. I love when they talk about Muslims. I love a little bit of racial debates. I love a little bit of, ethnic hegemony debates. All those are like my little favorites that I like to pick off of it because nobody else likes them. Everybody else is like, I like the olives. I like talking about I like talking about culture issues. I like talking about these little things. Not everybody all of the economics pieces, they're left on the charcuterie board. All of the racial issue stuff, it's left on the charcuterie board because no one likes to talk about it. But I will. I will enjoy it. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of enjoyment, I've had a great time collecting these stories for you. I hope you've had an even more wonderful time listening to them. In the meantime, I have been Ollie Vogt Larson. If you'd like to be here for the rest of our broadcasts this week, we'll be back at it again Tuesday through Friday. Subscribe if you want to be there for it. Like if you liked it. Ring the bell for notifications. In the meantime, I have been Ollie Vogt Larson with your brain on air. Thank you so very much for listening. I will catch you tomorrow in the next episode. In the meantime, bye-bye.